Here, and it is a special occasion because I'm making a video. I don't ever make videos anymore because obviously, as you can tell, I lack both the technical know-how and, quite frankly, the um, I don't have the willpower to learn actual video editing programs. And while I personally love YouTube and probably watch way more of it than any human should, the concept of learning anything new at this point in my life is just out of the question. Anyway, I watched Candyman last night, 2021's Candyman, and I have to talk about it. I have been thinking about this movie since it ended, and I need to talk about it. So I will be talking about it again, I'm sure, on the podcast, which will be up on Thursday, recording tomorrow. For those of you that I don't even know why I mentioned it because it doesn't matter, but it'll be up on Thursday because we're watching like Shark or something on Movie the Podcast. But anyway, I needed to get a longer form of my thoughts out there to talk about this movie. There's going to be spoilers. I'm not going to go like beat for beat and explain like the whole plot. I'm just going to talk about some really glaring issues I had with the movie overall. And also first, I want to talk about a little bit because I like to do this like I did with my Last of Us critique. I like to talk about the kind of discussion around the movie, and I am really sick of hearing that this movie is bad because it's woke. That shit drives me so fucking crazy. Like, no, it's not bad because it's woke. It's not really bad at all. Not to bury the lead, it's disappointing, I would say, but it's not bad. Trust me, there are movies like Shark Exorcist that are bad. This movie is frustrating because it has a lot of potential that, me personally, I feel like it squanders. But it's not bad because it's woke. It deals with racism and gentrification, and those things are good fodder for horror movies. Good horror movies were always based in social commentary. It's fucking Dawn of the Dead woke. Like these people, it's crazy. Like everything now comes through this lens of like, oh, SJW is woke. Blah, blah, blah. It's so fucking tiresome, man. Like you can just not like a movie, right? Like you can tell me that the movie is kind of written poorly because I agree with that. It is written poorly, but like the subject matter and what they're talking about, like it's it actually that's one of the frustrating aspects, right? Because its subject matter and the time that it's coming out right now, this movie is perfect for what's going on right now. It is. I don't know. I get, like I said, I get so fucking sick of like, oh, woke horror movies are coming in. They're not back, but they're coming in. Like, you have a primarily black cast, and they talk about racism, and then you got a bunch of guys on the fucking internet screaming, "Oh, it's woke! Oh God!" Like, all right, man. Like just tuck the hood underneath your bed and just shut up. Go back to watching, I don't know. I mean, the original fucking Candyman, while it's clunky and is filled with filled with some un-PC shit that the 90s was filled with, was at its core trying to be about the same issues. I mean, obviously not gentrification, but like about racism and brutality against black people. Was that too woke? Anyway, let me get into this movie. This movie, I thought was directed pretty well. I thought the acting was really well done. I thought that the biggest problem with this movie was its plot. And then doing some research today, I found that Jordan Peterson wrote this movie, or he's co-wrote this movie. I'm just going to say this, and this is an unpopular opinion. I think that maybe Get Out was a fluke because I thought Us was a total mess, way worse than this movie. But Us and this movie have a lot in common because Us has a very interesting premise, and you're into the movie. Like Us is pretty entertaining for the majority of the movie, and then they explain the plot, and they over-explain the plot, and it's like, what the fuck is this? And this movie is the exact same thing. Like you have a lot of interesting elements that never really come together. And then like the final 15 minutes, they cram all of this plot, characters change on a dime, and you're like, the fuck did I just watch? Um, so again, this is like I said, I'm not one of these YouTube guys as I aspire to be, but this is all off the top of my head. This isn't. I didn't write anything down. I probably should have. So let me start off by saying that the big idea of this movie, which I kind of like, is that it is a direct sequel to the original Candyman, and I guess Candyman 2, but I don't remember Candyman 2 at all. So basically, Candyman is like a collective wraith of different people that have been wronged by I guess you could say the police or the system, or really just wronged in general. You know, it's like a wraith kind of situation. But instead of there being one Candyman, basically this has happened so many times throughout history that like he's become like a legion of these avenging spirits. And that to me is a great idea. I love it. It's an interesting take on the original concept. It also is, again, it speaks to real life problems. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it deals with the fact that this shit, violence against poor black people is not new. As much as some people like to act like it is, like because we're just talking about it more now. It's happened throughout history, and it's always been terrible. And I like that because it echoes that sentiment. Like it's an interesting take, and it's a good idea to add to the mythos of the original movie, which again was about the same kind of thing. That's great, but here's the first problem with the movie. So you're introduced to the projects. I forget the name of the town. It's the same name as it was before, and I can't remember because I don't do any. I don't write anything down. But anyway, you're introduced to the story of this other guy, this other Candyman, who's just this weird sort of dude that gives candy to kids. He's a weirdo, but he's an innocent weirdo, and he's got a hook for a hand, and he's murdered by the police. Now, here's the thing. I get what you're going for, but why does he have to have the hook for the hand? Like, I can't understand your analogy if it's not literally fucking 1-to-1. Like, I get it. Like, he died. He was wrongly accused. Like, he got accused of poisoning some white kid. So the cops came down on him and murdered him. And he becomes part of the new avenging spirit of the Candyman. I get it. It's great. I think it's a great premise. It's a good start to the movie. Why does he have to have the hook hand? Because immediately then you're like, okay, so this is like a whole new thing. This is a whole new Candyman story. This has nothing to do with the original, because obviously they're paying homage to the original with a hook hand, but then by the end of the movie you realize, no, that's just another guy that had a hook hand. Like, okay. Secondly, like the way this movie comes to, again, I'm not going to go beat for beat, but like just based on what I just told you, the underlying premise is that, people, black people specifically, are basically exploited through through a lot of different means, obviously, but they are exploited through gentrification and the perpetuation of poverty in the projects. But also, like when anything goes wrong, it's automatically the black people's fault. That's the basic premise of the film. And throughout the movie, the main character, Anthony, who's played by, God, I'm so bad with names. His name's Ya something. He's great. He was in the fucking Watchmen TV show. He was great. He has a huge dick. I feel like I have to mention that because that thing was just, that is a dick you can set your watch to. He was great in Watchmen. He was in Aquaman, but the less that can be said about that is the better. He wasn't the problem in that movie, but he's also in a really good episode of Black Mirror where he ends up fucking Anthony Mackie, which was really good. But anyway, so he basically is an artist, and he basically stumbles into basically the Lord of the Morning. He stumbles into the Candyman mythos and brings Candyman's name back into the discussion, with the legend back into the discussion, and by doing so, reignites the spirit to come back and start murdering people. Again, not a bad premise. Good horror story fodder there. But the problem is, again, go back to the premise of the film where it's like people are wrongfully accused, and you know this legacy of brutality and disrespect, for very lack of a better term, has perpetuated itself for generations. But Anthony is a central figure where when all these people get murdered. The art dealer gets murdered, and it was his show. Also, that art dealer and that scene where he gets murdered is like the worst scene in the movie, and I have no idea why they didn't cut it. You got this guy who's already like a goof, like he's the joke, like art guy that's just really annoying, and like he's fucking like a basically an underage girl, and he's a scumbag, and we get that. But like as he's getting murdered, he's quipping the whole time. He's like, gotta run fast, gotta run fast. It's like, what the fuck am I watching? Like, how you didn't cut that shit, I don't know. His girlfriend is like literally like vivisected in front of him, and he's like, is this real? Is this real? It's like, oh, what the fuck is this? Anyway, I'm sorry. I hated that scene like so much. But anyway, Anthony is involved in all of these murders. Like it was his gallery. The gallery didn't go well. He left the gallery like drunk, and he was pissed off because nobody was understanding his art, and he had a visible argument in front of a lot of people with the art dealer. Then he turns up dead. He's not even questioned, like at all. Like he's not questioned. He's not inconvenienced in any way. Then the next person that dies, I believe, is the art critic that was at that show that basically shit all over his stuff, and he goes to visit her to talk about Candyman, and then she ends up saying Candyman, and that's how she dies. And again, like he leaves his girlfriend her like fancy dinner, and he couldn't look any more suspicious and weird. But again, like he's never brought in, he's never fucking talked to. He just goes about his business, and it's like, well, there's your. So again, I'm getting all over the place. In the course of the story, Anthony goes to talk to this guy that still lives in the projects that we were brought to in the beginning of the movie. It turns out he's the kid that runs into that original Candyman that I was telling you about, or not original, but second, third generation Candyman. So this guy is the guy that tells Anthony about the mythos and all this stuff, and he is an exposition machine, which is a shame because that actor is really good. He was excellent in Zola. I really like that guy, but in this movie, he's literally just an exposition machine. Every time he shows up, it's like he's like a fucking NPC quest giver. He just tells him all of the history of Candyman in the most boring way possible, because it's like, oh, let me tell you about this. Like you can't. Like Anthony can't discover this stuff like in a more organic way. But anyway, Anthony begins to like become the Candyman. Like he got a bee sting early in the movie, and like his hand is getting really gross. Also something that no one addresses besides Anthony, which like his hand literally looks dead. At one point, like he's like pulling apart his fingers, and it's an effective effect. It looks very cool, but like nobody's like, hey, what the fuck's up with your hand, dude? Like, I don't know. Anyway, so he is like becoming the Candyman, and again, like through the whole movie, he is 5 seconds behind anybody dying, or 5 seconds walked away from anybody that died. But again, he's never brought in, he's never questioned. Really, the movie moves at such a clip; it never takes a minute to like take a breath. Also, a plot point is introduced, and then like just like it's sprinkled throughout, where Anthony's girlfriend, whose name both character and actress eludes me, she was Monica Rambeau in Captain Marvel. She's also great. The performances in this movie aren't bad. Like it is not on any of the actors or even the director. It's a script. But anyway, so there's like dream sequences and like flashbacks that explain, and there's even like a bit of drop dialogue that her father was an artist as well that was like tormented and killed himself, but that goes nowhere. There's a flashback where her dad like jumps out of a window and kills himself, but it never comes back around or resolved to the main plot. Like I have no idea what that was and why that was. Like, she meets another art dealer like in the movie, and like it's kind of implied that she goes after these kind of like deranged artists, but like that was dropped. Anyway, so Anthony eventually like goes full on like dead. Like he looks horrible. His whole side of his face is fucked up and burned looking. His arm is his the rot from his hand is going all the way up his arm. He looks like shit. So then you come to find out that like the whole movie, the guy from the laundromat has orchestrated this whole thing so that Anthony can be murdered by the police, thus bringing Candyman back. What? So so then the laundromat guy like kidnaps Anthony, cuts his hand off, jams a meat hook in his hand, and then like I don't know, like becomes like a deranged maniac and tries to kill Anthony's girlfriend. And like that's kind of the movie. What? And then so so then I forgot to mention, so in the chase with the laundromat guy and Anthony's girlfriend ends up stabbing him to death with a pen. So he's dead on the ground. They're in the projects, and Anthony literally looks like a fucking zombie. He's got a fucking bloody stump meat hook for a hand. He's like barely, I don't even think he's conscious. He's on the ground. He's like dying. He looks terrible. The girlfriend's covered in blood. Somebody called the cops. The cops show up, and off screen, like they pan out to the exterior of the building, and the cops just shoot Anthony for some reason. Like, and I get it. I get what you're going for. Like cops shoot people for no reason all the fucking time. They do it just about every single day. But in this case, it was like, what? Like, huh? And then Anthony's girlfriend goes into the cop car. The cop is like, you could help us out, or I'm going to send you to jail. She says Candyman 5 times. Candyman then comes back as Anthony, murders all the police, doesn't murder her, even though that's been the rule the entire time, is that if you call him, he kills you. No, in this, he turns into a superhero and kills all the cops. And then she sees Anthony, and then for some reason, Anthony's face turns into Tony Todd's face from the original movie. He says, "Tell everyone," and the movie ends. The fuck did I just watch? Now, here's this is probably unfair, but like to me, as soon as this movie ended, I was like, it's so obvious how to fix this movie, right? Like, if you want to stay consistent to the theme of your film, Anthony is innocent the entire time. Anthony has nothing to do with these murders, yet they keep happening around him, right? And he looks somewhat suspicious, but he's clearly innocent. Then he's murdered by the police. Then the Candyman mythos makes sense. Or like Candyman, so like you have, in my opinion, a better plot is you have the laundromat guy who's already obsessed and crazy with the Candyman story. And he's so obsessed with that Candyman story that he's the one that is doing all the murders, but he pins it on Anthony, who is completely innocent. Anthony ends up dying. And then, I don't know, then you have either the original Candyman or Anthony come back to kill the laundromat guy, thus making the legend true. Like, to me, it seems obvious. Other the way they do it, it's just incongruent. It doesn't, I don't understand like the point of the laundromat guy. Like he wants to perpetuate the Candyman thing, but like he manufactures it, so he's the villain. Doesn't that go against the entire point of what Candyman was? Like Candyman was always innocent people getting killed, but like you manufactured the entire thing. I don't know, man. This movie is very frustrating. It's filled with a lot of good actors. It's filled with, I thought, some very well shot scenes. Another thing I hate about people that review horror movies are like, it wasn't scary. Like, what is that? First of all, it's objective, and two, like, what fucking movie is scary? Like, it's not scary. Like, what are you, 6? Like, I don't know. I thought the writing was just a huge letdown in this movie. I think, again, like, maybe you don't like my version of the story, but you have to agree that there is a better version of this story out there. This movie is like an hour and a half long, which is great. I love short movies, but like it doesn't take any time to breathe or to like to kind of expand on any of its themes. It's just like, let's just fucking hurry up and get through this whole thing. And I don't know. It just, I'm really disappointed. I was really looking forward to this movie. Um, but whatever. What can you do? Hopefully, Tony Todd got like some decent money for them to CGI his face on the what's his name, which I thought was dumb. Like, why don't you just have Tony Todd? Tony Todd's still around. He's older, but he still works. Like, just have Tony Todd. Also, Candyman, like every time he shows up, he's in this fucking like T pose, like floating, which I thought was really dumb. Like, I guess I play too many video games, but like every time I saw him, I was like, oh, he's glitching. Like he's a cyberpunk character. He's glitching. Like I get it. It's in theory, it's kind of creepy, but like I don't know. Candyman's sort of he's like a Michael Myers in like the fact that he is a supernatural character. Michael Myers isn't supernatural, I guess, but like his humanity is kind of scary. Like the fact that he's not like a masked guy or like a monster. He's just a guy with a hook hand. Like that's kind of why that character is scary. Him floating around is kind of dumb. I don't know. I didn't like it. Tune into Movie the Podcast. Like and subscribe this channel. I upload the show onto the website, which is moleholeradio.com, but I also upload it to this YouTube channel every Thursday. Thank you for watching, and maybe next time I make a video, it'll actually be fucking produced. I don't know. We'll see. Thanks.